know why YouTube fucks about, because I have to click on it after I've gone live. If I come off the screen, I have to click back on it if I've gone live. Cool. Right, we're rolling now. We're rolling on all 3 platforms. I used to go live on TikTok. Then I got a bit sick of it. And I got a bit sick of the TikTok app because it's full of dickheads and girls flashing the bits and guys shaking the wangs around. So I'm kind of reluctant to use TikTok at the moment, to be honest with you. Don't really like it. I'll stick to I'll still moaning out. I'll stick to Instagram, stick to Facebook and YouTube. All you guys seem to be better than the people on TikTok anyway. Cool. Right, shall we get into it? Got a few people joining us now. I'm going to hit record if we're going. Cool. Right, okay, mega. Right, let's go. 3, 2, 1. Yes, team, welcome to another episode of the Type 1 Movement podcast. And in today's episode, I'm going to be chatting about my personal experience and the experience I've had working with clients when it comes to auto mode and Basal IQ. If you guys use a pump or use this, you'll know what I'm on about. For those who don't, stick around. You're still going to get some information from it. Before we get going, please leave me a rating and a review on the podcast app, as I run no paid advertisements or anything to this podcast. It's all just off you guys giving me reviews, reaching out, sharing it. So I really do appreciate you guys. Also, give it a screenshot, whatever device or platform you're listening to it on. Share it on your stories, share it on Facebook, and tag me at Type1_Tom or Tom Allison on Facebook so I can reach out and say thank you. So I'm going to get into basically what auto mode is, what Basal IQ is, the one in the same sort of thing, and sort of like my experience with it and my client's experience with it. I think I might as well just go straight into it and tell you guys what it is. If you're using it, you'll know what it is. If you've had a pump and that, you'll know what it is. It's becoming quite a big thing. And basically, you obviously need a pump for this. My Tandem does this. Medtronic pumps do this. And you need that pump to be able to connect to some sort of CGM. Yeah. And what it does, basically, auto mode is Medtronic's version. Basal IQ is Tandem. A few others do it as well, I think. I may be wrong, but they all roughly do the same thing. What it does is if you're going low, it will tell off your sensor and it will suspend your basal insulin. Okay. So if you're going low, it's all connected up. You pump to the sensor. Your sensor will tell you pump, and your pump will go, right, this dude's going low, or this girl's going low. We're going to suspend the basal insulin to stop them from going low, okay? And then on the flip side, what some of them do is if you're starting to go high, they can automatically give you a bolus of insulin acting as a correction dose, yeah? So it can suspend your basal insulin if you're going low, or it predicts you're going to go low. This is all from an algorithm, right? Or it will give you a correction dose if it thinks you're going to go high, yeah? Now, that's basically what auto mode and Basal IQ is. But it's very fucking flawed, and I'm going to explain why. And I wanted to do this episode because a lot of Type 1s ask me, I've spoke to so many clients before they've joined our program and when they've been on our program, and I think some Type 1s are going to be straight to the point, think that they get offered this auto mode or Basal IQ, like, fucking hell, this is going to sort my control out. This is what I've needed in all my years of being Type 1. This is a fucking godsend. It's going to sort my control out. When I found with the majority of Type 1s, it really isn't the case, and I'm going to tell you why. So I use a Tandem, a T-Slim 2. I went on this pump about 6 months ago, probably longer. And I went onto it because I wanted to get the Dexcom and pair it with the Dexcom and see what all this Basal IQ sort of thing was about. I've worked with a few clients on it, and I'll tell you the way that I work with clients with it when they're on it shortly. Excuse me. And I went on it myself, and I stayed on it for 2 weeks, and then I took it out of it. I took it out of it because, to be honest, it was just frustrating me. I couldn't do an extended bolus when I wanted pizza for over 2 or 3 hours or something like that, I think it is. And I need to extend for maybe 8 hours when I'm being a fat twat and eating a load of pizza. Couldn't do that. The Basal IQ couldn't keep up. I actually had a really high fat meal. I think it was pizza. Thought I'll just test this Basal IQ and see what it does overnight. Couldn't keep up. Waking up high. It was trying to give me corrections. It wasn't working. And I was like, I can fucking do this better myself. Which we found a lot of our clients, when we educate them, can. And that was my experience with it. Like, I was like, really not feeling it. I'm leaving it. Another thing of what I've noticed as well, and I've worked with a lot of clients who have used auto mode or Basal IQ, is When we are dropping low, if you're using this, it will suspend your basal insulin. It can do it. It can predict and might do it for 20 minutes before. But it then takes 2 hours for that to take effect. Guys, I want to drill this point home. Whenever we make any adjustments to our basal insulin on a pump, it takes 2 hours to take effect, 90 minutes to 2 hours. That's just the way that rapid acting insulin works. So if we're about to drop low, and that algorithm from the basal IQ or the auto mode was like, yeah, they're about to drop low. We'll suspend the basal insulin. We're going to go low in the next half an hour. That suspends the basal insulin. That then means we have no basal insulin on board in 2 hours' time, not here and now. And where this fucks a lot of type 1s up is they get a suspend of basal insulin, they treat the low, and then next thing, they're chasing fucking highs for the next few hours. Yeah, they're chasing highs because they've got no basal insulin on board. They've had the hypo treatment, and what this has done is just cause them to go high. And then, if on the flip side, you're using sort of the basal IQ, the auto mode, it's going to give you corrections. It can give you a correction, and chances are you're going to drop low again. It's going to suspend again, and we can end up on this roller coaster. So, basically, for me personally, and I say every single client that I've had that's come to me that have used one of these, it's been very, very flawed. It's been very flawed. And these are my personal views and the experience of working with type 1s with it. It's been very flawed. I'm going to tell you, I always use the analogy of let's say we're baking a cake, right? We're baking a cake, and the base of a cake is good sponge. Do you know what I mean? We need like a good sponge, good sort of batter mix and stuff like that. That nice doughy sort of sponge, that is the base foundation of a good cake, right? And then after that, if we nail that, we cook that right, we get the batter right, we nail it, we cook it right, we can then go and decorate it with some icing, just to icing on the cake, basically. Yeah, we can then decorate it with icing. What a lot of type 1s do is, let's say, referring to our diabetes management as cake, the cake's burnt, it's crumbling, and it's shit. So they tried to put a load of icing over it, a load of sprinkles, just to cover up that. This is the analogy for what using auto mode or basal IQ is if you haven't got all your rates and ratios dialed in. Yeah. If you haven't got all your rates and ratios dialed in, it's not going to work very well. You need to remember when it's doing corrections and it's doing suspensions and things like that, especially with corrections, it's working off your correction factor. If you input your wrong basal rate and the wrong correction factor, when it's trying to correct you, it's going to be all over the fucking place. And this is what we tend to find. Yeah. So think of it as icing on the cake. I'm going to tell you how we work with clients that come into our program with it now. Yeah. So basically, in our program, we get clients to, if they come in and they're comfortable in doing so, and they're using auto mode or basal IQ, I'm like, you're coming out of it if you feel comfortable. Yeah, Tom, I feel comfortable doing it. Right, sweet. You're going to come out of it, and we're going to go in and we're going to test all your rates, your basal rate, your background insulin and that, insulin to carb ratio, your correction factors. We test all them. Then you can then go back into auto mode or basal IQ if you wish to do so. The majority don't want to, because it's off an algorithm, and that algorithm isn't as good as our brain can get it. Yeah. This is making sense. Stick me a fire emoji in the comments below. Yeah. So basically the be all and end all of it, my experience, it's not something that I'd ever use. With a lot of our most successful clients, they may fluctuate, knocking it on and off every now and again, but they don't need it to keep great control. Yeah. And I do truly think that it's not needed. Look at guys still using pens, MDI. We've got clients in our program using pens, and they've got fucking amazing control. Yeah. So I think it's good if you know all your rates and ratios. If you don't know your rates and ratios and you try and use auto mode or basal IQ, like I say, it's like putting icing over a fucking cake that you've burnt. Yeah. You've burnt the mix, the batter's shit, and you're just trying to cover up a shit cake with a load of icing and making it look pretty. That's the best analogy I can give you. If your cake's great, you know your basal rate sorted, you know your insulin to carb ratio, you know your correction factor, you've got all those settings dialed into your pump, and you've got the option to go in auto mode or basal IQ, then it is like the icing on the cake. Then it may work better. But the biggest thing that put it off for me is not being able to do an extended bolus for, I think it was over 2 or 3 hours, I may be wrong. When I was using Basal IQ, I couldn't extend my bolus. So if I knew I was having a high-fat meal and I wanted to extend the bolus for 5 or 6 hours, I couldn't do it. I had to extend it for 2 or 3. Then I had to rely, if I was going to spike again, on the Basal IQ giving the correction, and it just wasn't getting it right. So I decided to come out of it. Yeah. So I've decided to do this episode because a lot of people do ask me, and a lot of clients come into our program on it. And I always say that to them, look, we're going to take you out of it if you're comfortable in doing so. This is something you can do on yourself. Test your rates and ratios. Once you've got all those dialed in, your control is going to be mega. If you want to go back into auto mode, if you want to go into Basal IQ, cool. Sometimes, if you're ill, it may help as well. I've had clients who have got certain illnesses. An auto mode or Basal IQ does help a little bit with them. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you do need to know your basal rate and your insulin to carb ratio. Technology, it sounds like I'm fucking slating technology. Technology is great. We're very fucking blessed to what we now have access to as type 1s. But these sort of auto mode and Basal IQ is often algorithm, probably built by a computer. And I don't think the algorithm built by a computer will ever be as good as our brains as type 1 diabetics. They will never understand our bodies like we do. They will never get it as good controls, as good blood sugar control as we can if we put the work in. Yeah. And I wanted to say this and come straight to the fucking point of it, just the way that I am. If your control's all over the fucking place, you don't need auto mode. You don't need Basal IQ. You just need to strip it back to basics and go in and test all your rates and ratios. Or get in touch with me and come and join our program. Yeah, because we'll fucking teach you how to do it. You don't need that. So, because I see a lot of type 1s looking outside for certain, I need that. I need a CGM. I need auto mode. I need Basal IQ. No, you don't. You don't. They may make things a little bit easier, but the base foundations will always stay there. You need to understand how to test your rates and ratios. You need to have that knowledge and go and fucking apply it. You can't, there's no way of jumping. If this is level 1, there's no way of jumping and missing level 1 and going in at level 10. It just doesn't work that way. It's just not the way that the process is. So that's my personal opinion on auto mode and Basal IQ. That's the experience of working with, God, I've forgotten how many clients have come into our program. Definitely over 10 that have worked on auto mode and Basal IQ. Yeah, and the majority of them just choose not to go into it once we've got all the rates and ratios are correct. Hopefully this helps. I'm always open to different people's opinions as well. So if you are listening to this or watching this and you use auto mode or Basal IQ, excuse me, or something of the sort, drop me a message, drop me an inbox and let me know how you find it personally. Say for me personally, I thought it was a load of shit. I didn't like it. I just couldn't do my splits properly, my extended boluses properly and stuff, and it just wasn't correcting right. And all my rates and ratios are pretty much bang on. It just didn't work for me. So let us know if you're using auto mode, using Basal IQ, or you've tried it, what experience you've had with it. Reach out to me, drop me a message. I'm curious to know. So guys, I hope you got some value from this. You got a bit of insight as well into auto mode, Basal IQ. There's probably a few others out there. There's also things like closed loop as well. They're a little bit more advanced, but again, I'm a big believer you still need to know your own rates and ratios. Team, that's it. Until the next episode, thanks very much for listening. Have a fucking great day wherever you are in the world. Peace. Right. Is anyone on that has any question? I'm going to stay on for a minute just to see if anyone's got any questions on what we've just spoke about. Let's have a quick look through. Got a few you guys on Instagram. Hey, what's happening, Chloe? Hope you're good. Yo, from Scotland. Yes, Scotland is probably my most favourite place in the world that I've been to so far. I love being out in the countryside and stuff, hence why I live in like the Peak District. I love the lakes as well. But when I went to Scotland the start of this year, I was like, this is like the Lake District on fucking steroids. Like, if I was going to move anywhere, it would be to Scotland, definitely. Prefer that to like a sunny country, to be honest. Yes, buddy. Hope you're good. Cool. Right, gang, that is it. Hopefully you guys got some insight and some value from this because I do get a lot of questions about Basal IQ. And auto mode, like I say, it's just my personal experience. There might be some people out there that use it like, it's fucking great. It's the best thing since sliced bread. I found more often than not, though, myself and the clients are like, yeah, once we've got it sussed ourselves, we tend not to use it. Right. Hopefully you guys got some value from it. Thank you very much for watching and for listening. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great weekend because it is Friday, the time I'm recording this. Peace.